Diversity. I'm Tom Phillips. I'm the Director of Police. And just to make sure everybody's at the right event, this is the FERC scoping meeting. We're going to get started here in just a few seconds. I just want to do some quick housekeeping. The restrooms are actually out the side here, but you're going to have to go out the rear doors and turn to your right. And just down the hall on your left, you'll find the restrooms. So, I don't want to take any more of your time. I just want you to get started so everybody can get a chance to get up here and speak that wants to speak. I'm going to turn this over right now to Christine Allen from FERC. Thank you.
Good evening. On behalf of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, also known as FERC or the Commission, I would like to welcome all of you here tonight. This is a scoping meeting for the Atlantic Sunrise Expansion Project planned by Transco Gas Pipeline Company, LLC, a subsidiary of Williams Partners, LP. Let the record show that the public scoping meeting in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania began at 7:03 p.m. on August 6, 2014. The primary purpose of this meeting is to provide you an opportunity to comment on the project or on the scope of the environmental analysis for the project. We want to hear what you believe we should include in the environmental analysis of the project. Please note that this is not a hearing. There will be no sworn testimony taken, although we do have a court reporter who will transcribe everyone's comments and questions so that they can be made part of the record in this proceeding and they can be appropriately addressed. My name is Christine Allen, and I am the Deputy Environmental Project Manager for this project. I'm with the Commission's Office of Energy Projects. With me at the table tonight is Mike Buckles from Natural Resources Group, or NRG. Also here tonight are Lindsay Grissom and Bart Jensen from NRG, and Jennifer Kerrigan, also with FERC staff. NRG is our third-party contractor, assisting us with the environmental review for the project. The FERC is an independent agency that regulates the interstate transmission of electricity, natural gas, and oil. It has up to 5 commissioners who are appointed by the President of the United States with the advice and consent of the Senate. Commissioners serve 5-year terms and have an equal vote on regulatory matters. FERC has about 1,200 staff employees. FERC reviews proposals for the construction and operation of interstate natural gas pipelines, storage facilities, and liquefied natural gas terminals, as well as the licensing and inspection of hydroelectric projects. As a federal licensing agency, the FERC has the responsibility under the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, to consider the potential environmental impact associated with a project, which is under its consideration. The environmental review must comply with various federal environmental laws and regulations, including, but not limited to, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Conservation and Management Act, and the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. The FERC is the lead federal agency for the NEPA review and the preparation of the Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS, for this project. In addition, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has agreed to participate as a cooperating agency in the preparation of the EIS. This agency would also use the EIS to meet its NEPA responsibilities. As I said earlier, the primary purpose of this meeting tonight is to give you an opportunity to comment on the project or on the environmental issues that you would like to see covered in the EIS. It will help us the most if your comments are as specific as possible regarding the potential environmental impacts of and reasonable alternatives for the planned project. These issues generally focus on the potential for environmental effects, but may also address construction issues, mitigation, and the environmental review process. At the speaker sign-in table, we also have comment forms you may use to provide written comments tonight. Or you may already have prepared written comments that you would like to present to us. We can take them and have them filed in the docket for you. So tonight's agenda is a simple one. First, I'm going to describe the environmental review process and the Commission's role. Then I will have the project sponsor provide a brief description of the project. After that, we will hear from those of you who have signed up to speak. We will go in the order that you signed up, so if you would like to give comments tonight, please be sure to sign the speakers list. Now I'll describe our environmental review process. To illustrate how this process works, we've prepared a flow chart. It is appended to the pre-filing review document available at the speaker sign-in table. At this time, we are at the beginning of our environmental review process and are in the public input opportunities part. In May and June, Williams held open house meetings over 3 weeks, which gave Williams a chance to meet with affected landowners and other interested parties to explain more about the project. It also provided an opportunity for FERC staff to introduce our agency and explain our role in the process. The FERC approved Transco's request to begin the pre-filing process for the Atlantic Sunrise Expansion Project on April 4th, 2014. This began our review of the project. The purpose of the pre-filing process is to encourage the early involvement of interested stakeholders and the early identification of and resolution of environmental issues. As of today, no formal application for this project has been filed with the FERC. However, the FERC, along with other federal, state, and local agencies, have begun review of the project. On July 18, 2014, FERC issued a Notice of Intent, or NOI, to prepare an EIS for this project and initiated a scoping period. This is what the NOI looks like. You can pick up, we have some extra copies at the sign-in table if you did not get one and would like one. The scoping process is a learning process. It is where we educate ourselves about the project and potential environmental issues. And many issues about the project have been provided in comments that have already been filed with the Commission since the pre-filing process began in April. The scoping or comment period announced in the NOI will end on August 18, 2014. Once scoping is finished, our next step will be to analyze the company's proposal and the issues that have been identified during the scoping period. This will include an examination of the planned facility locations as well as alternative sites or routes. We will assemble information from a variety of sources, including Transco, the public, other federal, state, and local agencies, and our own independent analysis and fieldwork. We will assess the project's effects on water resources and wetlands, vegetation and wildlife, endangered species, cultural resources, soils, geology, land use, air quality, noise, and safety. When complete, our analysis of the potential impacts will be issued as a draft EIS. It will be mailed to all interested parties and will have a 45-day comment period, during which time we typically schedule public comment meetings for the draft EIS. Comments on the draft EIS received at the public comment meetings and filed either electronically or by mail will be addressed in the final EIS for the project. The mailed version of the EIS is usually on a CD. That means unless you tell us otherwise, you will get the EIS on a CD. If you would prefer to have a paper hard copy mailed to you, you must indicate that choice on the return mailer attached to the NOI. It's the last page, and you just check the box saying that you would like a hard copy. As I mentioned earlier, the issuance of the NOI opened a formal comment period that will close on August 18, 2014. However, we will continue to take and address your comments throughout our review of the project beyond this date. We ask that you file your comments as soon as possible in order to give us time to analyze and research your issues. It is also important to note Transco is required to respond to all of these scoping comments within 14 days after the end of the scoping period. If you received the NOI in the mail, you are already on our mailing list and will remain on our mailing list to receive the EIS and any supplemental notices that we may issue about the project, unless you return the mailer attached to the back of the NOI and indicate you wish to be removed from the mailing list. If you did not receive the NOI, you should have, and I apologize. There are extra copies of the NOI at the sign-in table. You can be added to the mailing list, and also at the sign-in table. I would like to add that the FERC encourages electronic filing of all comments and other documents. The pre-filing handout that's available at the sign-in table and the NOI explain FERC's e-filing system and provide instructions for mailing comments. Instructions for using the e-filing system are also available on our website, ferc.gov, under the e-filing link. It is important that any comments you send, either electronically or by traditional mail, include our internal docket number for the project. That will ensure that members of staff evaluating the project will get your comments as soon as possible. The docket number for the Atlantic Sunrise Expansion Project is PF 14-8-000. In addition, we offer a free service called e-subscription, which automatically notifies you by mail or email of all issuances and submittals, and provides you with a link to access these documents. You can register for this service at our website under the e-subscription link. The NOI and the forms at the sign-in table also provide these instructions. Now I want to explain the roles of the Commission and of the FERC environmental staff. The 5-member Commission is responsible for making a determination to whether to issue a certificate of public convenience and necessity to an applicant. In this case, the applicant would be Transco. The EIS prepared by the FERC environmental staff, of which I am a part, describes the project facilities and the associated environmental impacts, alternatives to the project, mitigation to avoid or reduce impacts, and the environmental staff's conclusions and recommendations. The EIS is not a decision document. It is being prepared to disclose to the public and to the Commission the environmental impact of constructing and operating the proposed project. The Commission will consider the environmental information from the final EIS along with the non-environmental issues such as engineering, markets, and rates in making its decision to approve or deny Transco's request for a certificate. There is no review of the Commission's decisions by the President or Congress, maintaining FERC's independence as a regulatory agency. Before we start taking comments from you, Megan Stafford from Williams will provide a brief overview of the planned Atlantic Sunrise Expansion Project.
Good evening. My name is Megan Stafford, and I support the public outreach efforts for our proposed Atlantic Sunrise project. This project is being designed to connect natural gas producing regions in northern Pennsylvania to markets in the mid-Atlantic and southeastern states by 2017. The proposed Atlantic Sunrise project is being designed to transport 1.7 million decatherms per day of additional natural gas transportation capacity. The additional capacity added through this project is equivalent of serving the energy needs of approximately 7 million homes per day. The Atlantic Sunrise project would expand our existing Transco transmission pipeline by adding new pipeline infrastructure in Pennsylvania, as well as modifying some existing Transco facilities in Pennsylvania and other states, including Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, to allow natural gas to flow from north to south on the system. When the Transco pipeline was initially constructed in the early 1950s, it was designed to connect natural gas supplies from the Gulf Coast with markets along the East Coast. However, in recent years, the natural gas supply landscape has shifted, and today, Transco's customers ship more natural gas from the Marcellus supply area than the Gulf Coast. In 2012, Transco transported about 225 million cubic feet per day of gas supply from the Marcellus. In 2014, That number climbed to 3.5 billion cubic feet per day. In response to this shift, the Atlantic Sunrise Project is being designed to fundamentally change the flow of natural gas on the Transco pipeline system, allowing gas to flow bidirectionally so that customers like public utilities, power generators, and industrial natural gas users along the eastern seaboard can have access to economically priced Marcellus Shale natural gas supply. The scope of the project includes the installation of approximately 56.5 miles of 30-inch pipeline from Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania to Columbia County, Pennsylvania, and approximately 121 miles of 42-inch pipeline from Columbia County, Pennsylvania to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. These facilities are referred to as the Central Penn Line. The project would also include 9 miles of 42-inch pipeline loop located in Lycoming County, Pennsylvania, known as the Unity Loop, along with 3 miles of 36-inch pipeline in Clinton County, Pennsylvania, known as the Chapman Loop. In addition to the new pipeline facilities, the Atlantic Sunrise Project proposal also includes the construction of 2 new compressor facilities, as well as modifications to existing compressor stations across the project area. 2 sites are currently being considered for Transco's proposed new Station 605. Both sites are in Wyoming County, one site in Clinton Township and the other in Nicholson Township. Station 605 would include the construction and installation of 2 15,000 horsepower compressors. 2 sites are also being considered for Transco's new proposed Station 610. Both sites are in Columbia County, one site in Orange Township and the other in Hemlock Township. Station 610 would include the construction and installation of 2 20,000 horsepower compressors. The company also proposes to replace approximately 2.5 miles of non-contiguous 30-inch pipeline in Prince William County, Virginia. Transco entered the pre-filing process in April of 2014 and filed first drafts of Resource Report 1, which covers the scope as well as the purpose and need for the project, and Resource Report 10, which gives an overview of the company's alternative analysis, in May of 2014. Initial environmental, cultural, and civil surveys for the Atlantic Sunrise Project began in June 2014. For the Greenfield pipeline portions of the project, the company is currently examining a 600-foot wide study corridor and has asked for survey permission from landowners along our primary route, as well as several alternatives currently being considered. The 600-foot wide survey corridor allows the company flexibility to make informed decisions regarding the potential location of proposed facilities. 10 open houses were held in May and June across the project area. Over the course of these open houses, we had the opportunity to speak with more than 2,500 people in the project area. We were very pleased by the turnout at each location and feel that we are continuing to make good progress in educating the public about our proposed project. As a result of feedback from landowners and stakeholders gathered at our open houses and in our ongoing meetings with local and county officials, more than 20% of the southern portion of our original proposed route has been modified. We plan to file additional drafts of all required resource reports 1 through 12 in October of this year. It is important to note that the basis of the data that will be filed with our draft resource reports in October is data gathered through July 1st, 2014. We continue to make modifications to our route based on the field data, as well as stakeholder and agency input. Changes made after July 1, 2014 will be included in our formal 7C certificate application that we plan to file around March of 2015. The company hopes to receive a FERC order in the spring of 2016. Should the project receive approval, the company is targeting a July 1, 2017 in-service date. Transco meets or exceeds all federal regulations established by the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration for constructing and operating its interstate natural gas pipeline systems. Transco has maintained the integrity of its existing pipelines since their installation in accordance with federal regulations. Our integrity maintenance plan focuses on prevention first and foremost, followed by detection and mitigation. The pipeline and compressor stations are being designed with established and proven safety and security measures. A local, full-time staff of highly trained individuals will operate, monitor, and maintain the pipeline and its facilities. In addition, the pipeline will be remotely monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from Transco's Central Gas Control in Houston. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an overview of our proposed Atlantic Sunrise project.
Thank you, Megan.
Forgot to mention a few things.
We will now begin the part of the meeting where we hear your comments. First, we will take comments from those who have signed up on the speakers list. As I mentioned earlier, this meeting is being recorded by a transcription service. This is being done so that all of your comments and questions will be transcribed and put into the public record. To help the court reporter produce an accurate record of tonight's meeting, please only speak when you are at the microphone. Please face me at the table and the court reporter so that we can accurately record your comments. I ask that when I call your name, you come up to the microphone and state your name and spell it for the record. Identify any agency or group that you are representing and define any acronyms that you may use. I also ask that everybody else in the audience please respect the speaker and refrain from showing any audible show of agreement or disagreement. In the interest of allowing as many speakers as possible, I would like you to keep your comments brief, preferably to 5 minutes or less. We will set this visual timer to allow 4.5 minutes of green light, 30 seconds of yellow warning light to indicate the speaker when it is time to conclude, and 10 seconds of red to indicate the end of the allotted time. I ask you to please abide by this time to allow as many people as possible the opportunity to speak. Whether you provide your comments verbally tonight or mail them in, they will be considered equally by FERC. We are now ready to call our first speakers.